Good morning, traders, and welcome to the crypto webinar series here today with Joseph at JTrader. If you're new here to Bookmap, then well, Joseph does every Wednesday. He's a stocks and crypto trader. And he trades the stocks every Wednesday here. Anyway, we're going to go through, or Joseph's going to go through how he trades crypto. If you don't know who he is, he's been trading for quite a while, since 18. He's a young guy, but he's been trading for since a young age. And he focuses on order flow scalping and trading mainly U.S. stocks and options. But he's the main trader at his Smallcaproom. We'll talk more about that in a minute. And he has been actively trading cryptocurrencies since 2018. I have his contact information here if you want to reach out to Joseph. I'll be putting this into the chat so you have somewhere to go if you have wanted more information on his mentoring and education. We need to go through the disclosures here, and then also some special offers that we have, and then we'll jump right into the presentation with Joseph. However, we need to go through the disclosures. It's important. All Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Live trading is in simulation, demo, paper trading mode, and strictly for educational purposes. Live trading executed in simulation cannot accurately represent realistic trading performance. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. An investor could potentially lose all or more than the initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security nor lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so let me go through some specials here, though. You might be interested in. We have only for this crypto webinar series is good until July 13th. 30% off coupon code for any new monthly subscribers. Okay, only for the first month though. And then we also have a free month of Global Plus at each webinar event here. So enter each time and you have more chances to win. The way to go is to join the Bookmap Discord hashtag special events room and then type CWS in there. Here's the link. I'll be putting this into the chat as well for you so that you guys can enter and try to get 1 month of free Global Plus. All right. So I think we've covered everything. Joseph, why don't I turn it over to you, and then you can take it away.
All right, so good morning, everybody. Good morning over here, Bruce. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me see, Bruce, if let me know if you can see it.
Yes.
All right, so glad, first of all, to be over here today, traders, with Bookmap. Bruce is an awesome host. We're gonna cover how I use Bookmap to trade cryptocurrencies, how this software is a huge hedge in your trading. So crypto trading course, why I call it course, because I'm gonna cover some of the strategy that I believe will be very useful and that you can start looking from tomorrow. As usual, it takes time to become good in trading. So don't listen to this course today, this podcast, and then right away start to trade with these strategies. Make some experience, trade first of all in simulated, track your performance, and then you can start trading with a good risk management. So I'm JTrader, so good morning, everybody. We're gonna start over here looking at our first crypto tool, why Bookmap. So over here, we can see that Bookmap gives us the truth of what is happening in the cryptocurrency market, because we can spot liquidity, we can spot demand and supply, levels of risk, liquidation areas, reversals, divergence, and imbalance areas. I don't use only Bookmap alone to trade, and I don't use only my charts to trade, but I'm using, I would say, a combination of these three factors. So first of all, I individuate on a chart supply and demand areas. These supply and demand areas, I look for them into a higher time frame. So I will pass from a weekly to a daily to an hourly chart. When I trade cryptocurrencies, I have two main strategies. One strategy is for the long-term period. So I'm looking at weekly and daily charts mainly. And the other one is a day trading strategy, which I only trade for Bitcoin. And soon we'll go and take a look at that. And I use an hourly chart and a 5-minute chart. I don't really want to go on lower time frames, lower than 5 minutes. So you're looking for, scalping, only because I always want to keep, I would say, a macro picture, all right, of what I'm trading. Sorry. So we're gonna review together the supply and demand areas, what they are, the chart patterns that I'm trading. So we'll look at order flow. When I'm talking about order flow, Bruce knows better than me. We're gonna go over the macro picture and also the microstructure in order to see the, I would say, the big picture, the long-term picture, and also to see the, I would say, the microstructure that we can have in our bookmap on a daily time frame. So trading is like a puzzle, I always say. Why? Because you have to put all pieces together to see the entire picture, right? So I cannot trade, in my case, and this is really what's been working for me, what's been working for the traders who I mentor. I cannot trade only a chart pattern, because I will trade, for example, just let's say a bounce, a rejection from a trend line. But then if I don't have a clear vision of what is the main picture, so the supply demand areas and also the order flow, how much liquidity I have over there. So if we have some big buyer or a big seller near our areas. So knowing this, it's very, very important. All right. So let's pass to the first over here snap. Over here you can see Bookmap. This is Binance futures. So you can see over here traders our main I would say levels called, these orange levels and yellow levels are called heat maps. So those are levels of liquidity. In this case, they are supply. It means on the book at that level, we have a certain amount of sellers. And you can see that in the first part of our monitor over here. Let me know, Bruce, if you also see my cursor over here going.
Yes, looks good.
Okay. So thank you very much. So over here, traders, you can see that this is called liquidity. All right. So we have over here liquidity. So these are all sellers placed at these levels. So 31,700, 31,600, 31,600 over here and 60. And we have basically a supply area. So it means that when the price will start pushing into supply area, if the supply will win versus the demand, we're going to have a rejection and a fail. So one of the terms that I believe you need to learn is soak. So over here you can see that the price is we have a reclaim of the VWAP, which is this red line over here. We start to have like a first peak, and then we have like some sellers over here, probably profit takers, and then we have this big push to the upside. I believe also over here we have some sweep. So what is sweep? Stop loss, some stop loss hunts, and then they go over here, and once they find this liquidity, we have also some liquidation, and they start like dumping. Liquidation in this case is a new indicator that we have on Bookmap. Bruce will tell you basically with better, I would say, technical words, but you can see over here basically the liquidation of some particular 0.2 Bitcoin, right? Because somebody over here had a margin call, right? That's the point over here. So 0.2 Bitcoin in 6 over here situations or scenarios. Right away we have a dump. So means that at this soak, for the fact that we are not pushing up anymore, means that the supply is in control, and we start like unwinding. So if you understand this, if you understand that we have a supply area, which is this one, we have over here increasing buying, but at a certain point, this buying gets soaked, right? So basically, these buyers get absorbed, means that the sellers are more than the buyers, and we have no more buyers over here, no more demand to push above 31 and 600. And then what happens? We start like fading. At this point, you see only sellers, all right? Only sellers over here. Again, over here, you can see the liquidation. So over here, 0.5 Bitcoin in 19 situations or scenarios. And then over here, you see more, all right? So this is a pretty important indicator that tells you where we have, I would say, the majority of the concentration of volume traded, like over here, like all these, which are liquidation, but also sweep, right? Sweep, because below, for example, this level, we can definitely see that they're going to trigger their stop losses, and all these stop losses turn into the liquidation over here. Bruce, am I correct with what I'm saying? Because I want to be clear in explaining this.
Spot on. I mean, this is just to give maybe a bit more definition to this liquidation indicator. It works for 4 exchanges. You're looking at the one that shows the most, which is Binance Futures, and that makes sense because it's leveraged and people are getting liquidated. The move to the downside here, you see the sell transactions here. This is people that were long, and they are forced, or the exchange is forcing to close their position because they've met or not meeting their margin requirements. Therefore, their position is closed, and it's a rather amazing thing to be able to see this at the extremes. And this I remember this example the other day. It's incredible.
Exactly. So you can see over here, traders, as Bruce was saying, and that's also the reason why I always say careful using a margin account, because you can blow up very fast. You can have a margin call, especially small accounts that you're like adding to a losing position, or like start shorting on future while this is going up, and you add, and then margin call, you have to close, right? All of these liquidations are part of that. So let's look over here, the price section, to understand better. I often use trend lines with my Bookmap, especially with the trend lines going into levels. So if you remember over here, we had the supply area, right? And they start over here to cancel, right? So this is not really spoofing. They're canceling over here orders. They see over here higher momentum. And then once we peak at this level, I'm still not looking for a short or reversal of the trend. But once we have the trend line break and I started seeing over here sellers, okay, now this is the point where I can start like shorting or selling if I was previously long. And then I can ride simply the trend. Why ride it? Because the majority of these dots, right? So these are basically sellers getting over here executions, right? They're all seller, big supply and control. You can see also over here the indicator of the liquidation. You can see a big huge spike really on this V pattern. So when you trade the chart patterns, you remember the V pattern. So really like a big wash downside and right away a bounce over here. At a certain point, we start having over here some buyer trying to hold the price up. Again, moving over here. So I don't see him over here forming another level. Maybe it was absorbed over here. But the point is somebody's trying to make it bounce. And then again, another trend line break, sellers in control. And then we have another sweep over here, right? So we have a break on this level, sweep right away to this support area, which is the demand area. So if I have to look at this chart, we'll make this. We'll have a first part, which is over here, the supply. And then we'll have over here a second part, which is over here, demand. And until the price doesn't reach this area, I'm not looking to sell or to short. And until the price doesn't reach to this area, I'm not really looking to cover, let's say if I was previously short over here, and or to buy, because I want to buy not over here mid-range. I don't want to buy over here while maybe it's still going down. I want to buy when I start seeing like some bounce, because that demand area over here will give me a very low risk. And then I can again look to sell into the previous supply area. So this is really how the order flow works. All right. Now let's look another example. In this case, we see the continuation, all right, of that demand zone. So this is the same day. Remember, we had the big liquidation over here, and then we had this sweep. So over here we have the breakdown. We have over here stop loss orders going on, and you can see over here that we have another V pattern over here, right? If you look at the price section below. And you can see also here huge amount of liquidations for about 2.2 Bitcoin and then bounce back up. So what happens over here? We have a main demand area, 31,040, 30,9080, 30,9020, and then start bouncing. So what you don't want to do? You don't want basically to short over here, because you cannot short into, or at least I don't like to short into a high liquidity area, which is the demand zone. I'm waiting, for example, a breakdown, and then I want to see a retest of that area, and then I'm looking to short. So I want to see basically that the previous area where we had demand now becomes supply. So this shift is very important when you're trading over here cryptos. So let's look at the long-term time frame and why Bookmap is helpful. So first of all, I said before, you have to learn about the order flow. And on YouTube Bookmap, you can join and look for different, I would say, content. We have like videos explaining the order flow, rejection, bounces, how to spot manipulation, and so on. Now, the second thing is also to understand the macro picture over here. So we're looking at the long-term time frame, and we're going to look at these two, we'll say, parameters, supply and demand, what they are. So this is a weekly. Over here is using Bitfinex weekly. This is on Transpider. I'm looking for the main levels of support and demand, support and resistance. So support being called demand, and supply being called resistance. So over here, we see that the price dips the first time on this area over here. We were around the 30,000 area. And then this was back in 2017. Over here, we're getting near 2018. And we had this push to the 20,000 area, all right? So we form a major peak. And then you can see that once we establish this peak, we have a lower high, lower high, a lower high, lower high, lower high. So we have over here a slow down trend. This is also a demand zone. All right. I didn't put this over here, but this is demand zone. And that's a demand zone with what? With a distribution pattern of descending triangle. So why distribution pattern? Because each peak over here is a lower high. Remember, this is on a weekly. So in order to form this pattern over here, it takes something like 9 months, right? 9-10 months. Then we have a breakdown, and where we have the breakout into this area, where we start having a consolidation, right? Consolidation that will be transformed into an accumulation area. Accumulation, you can see it's very tight. Over here, we are into this band over here. This is my J line 2, which is a perfect band. And since 2010, when Bitcoin came out, through this, you could get all the dips. And then once we have 2010, when that Bitcoin came out, pattern breakout over here, we start bouncing from the demand zone. So at this point, what are the levels over here that I will be looking for? Well, this is the main level. So the main previous resistance. But I'm always looking to buy the dips. So I'm not looking to buy over here, because often, and I will show you after in the next picture, Buying the breakouts, it's really buying a bull trap. So you'll buy the top, like many did, for example, past November, or many did, for example, the 2021 April. And what happens? You get really stuffed, and then you will like buy, I would say, the top, when instead you have to sell it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find out over here the high of this entire period over here that we're looking over here at 3 years. And then I'm going to look for those accumulation over here, like this over here into demand zone. Or, for example, I'm looking for these patterns over here. This is an ascending triangle, again, into my area, right? This J line 2. And I'm going to look to buy into these areas. I'm going to buy into these areas, applying my stop below, like over here, over here. And this gives me a valid, I would say, low risk reason to long. One, because I buy near a demand zone, so I can use a very tight stop loss over here. I would say a relatively tight stop loss, because over here we're talking about 6,000, over here is 3,000, but you understand what I mean. So having a tight risk, I'm not really buying over here on a 20,000 breakout, and I'm going to risk the relative low over here at 4,000. And then if I'm buying this here over here, all right, on this ascending triangle, I'm going to risk this low. And I can see that here we had one accumulation, and over here with a second accumulation. Once then we have these bands over here, you can see the formation, right? These bands start to be over here golden color, and they start breaking the supply area, and the next supply area over here, then we are trend formed. And I'm not selling over here. I'm not selling until I have these bands like working. So let's pass to the next snap over here. So this is always Bitcoin weekly chart. So remember, we're looking at this demand zone, and over here, I wanted to share this because it's very important to understand the price action, the chart patterns. So only if you know what works in this market, in the crypto market, you're able to make your living, to make your income in trading cryptos. So this is the band I was telling before, and you can see this band goes until 65,000. Now imagine that you are a breakout trader, all right? So you're looking over here for a breakout, you're buying, and in this case, you're having a good win. You're buying over here near the 40,000, possibly today you will see a huge amount of demand, so pretty good heat maps over here getting removed. You will see also some liquidation, some margin calls over here from shorts getting stopped out, and then you have this big push. But let's say that you start buying over here, you buying the peak, and then right away the week after, the price from around 60,000 goes back down to 50. Or even worse, if you buy over here around 62,000, 63,000, it gets to the 65, so you're probably maybe going to even increase, and then 1 month later, your I would say capital over here is like down 50%. Instead, what I do, I'm looking for those areas of demand. Okay, so over here we have a big demand, and then I'm going to see over here another demand, and I can see that we have these demands with, again, my J line 1 weekly. And again, I won't trade only because I see that main level of support. I will start looking on Bookmap. If that day we're going to have like dips holding and then being bought up, and then I'm going to start my position. This is the main supply area on this chart, all right? So you can see over here that once we reach in October, November 2021, the supply area, again over here we have a breakout, right? So if you buy all the breakouts over here, especially these 52-week highs, you're gonna have like a really hard time making money in the cryptocurrency world. So you cannot buy over here the breakouts. This is a bull trap, right? So this is a bull trap right away over here. This is created from the big hands in order for them to give them time, to give them like liquidity to sell their positions. Because if you create a breakout, if you really have that huge amount of size, if you are like looking to sell a huge big position or to take profit, you're going to have some liquidity. You're going to have like some demand below, and demand is formed on the breakouts. So what happens over here? Be smart. They're looking to form the breakout so that they can dump exactly on you looking to buy. So they're selling these areas over here. Maybe you're holding, you're selling down here, or you're still holding down here, losing more than 50%. All right, so let's pass over here. I'm gonna go over some bookmap examples. So this is looking always the longer time frame, supply and demand. And we can see again on a daily time frame this time that supply up here, right? So the breakout over here that we just spoke about the 67, 68,000 over here, right away fail. And then you can see even better over here the demand area, right? So where we have buyers coming in at this level, at this level, at this level, at this level, and at this level. So if you have to buy, don't buy up here. All right, this is my suggestion. Start watching this thing, start to buy dips, start to buy over here in the demand area. And that's the reason why Bookmap is very helpful for me, because Bookmap gives me those dips and I can see the liquidity we have there. So I can look at the microstructure and the macro picture and form my plan. Let's jump over here to this. So this is just to make you understand the bull traps, right? So you can see at 65,000 over here, we have a perfect breakout right away. The next daily bar, okay, this is a daily bar. So you have like not even 24 hours over here to call it profit, and then boom, right away. And then over here, instead, you have like 3 days, and then back below the 65,000, then an unwind. At the same time, I'm not really looking to short, okay? I'm not really looking to short on breakdowns, because as we saw before, and this is always a daily chart, if you buy the breakouts, you can get like stuffed. If you short the breakdowns, you can really short the main dip. So this was the demand over here back in 2020, over here 2021, then 2022. Remember, this is the main washout that we had over here. And over here that day, we had a lot of liquidation, all right? So a lot of longs over here, buying with small accounts, margin calls, boom, liquidation out. Instead, as I said, don't look for these areas over here to short. Ideally, we'll see these areas over here on the demand to buy. Some of the main rules, okay, for the long entries. And then we're going to look at some examples on Bookmap. So few strategies that you can start looking at. Prices rising with increasing momentum. So how many times, for example, we have ES, right? So ES futures, that they are the guide for the entire market. And you've seen like during this period, if you are following, for example, ES together with Bitcoin, how many times ES anticipates the move of Bitcoin and actually influences the move of the Bitcoin. And you will see that all the tech stocks, Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, often they anticipate the move on Bitcoin. So this is not a general rule, but often you will see this correlation between ES, so SP 500 futures, with Bitcoin. And in that case, I'm riding momentum, because let's say if ES has a big breakout and I'm going to look for any position after this breakout, so buying dips or pullbacks, whatever. And then I'm going to do the same thing on Bitcoin. ES, let's say, is dumping hard. It's bringing down the entire market. It's bringing down Bitcoin, Nvidia, Apple, everything. Then I'm going to look for example, shorting over here Bitcoin. Liquidity removal of several heat maps. So to see if your coin, could be Bitcoin or other coins, during the day is strong, look how many heat maps, right? So liquidity areas, supply, is able to remove, and with how much speed. For example, I see a lot of traders that price is going up, right? We have over here a main supply area, and they're gonna basically sell only because we have a supply area. Maybe we have another one over here, another one over here, another one over here. So this is the good part of having Bookmap, because you can spot that liquidity. You can spot who is over here on the book, even when you're starting over here to move. Of course, you always have to control it, because like with momentum, these can get like a spoof. For example, they can cancel, or for example, they can simply become bigger levels, right? But the speed of how we remove these liquidities, how we remove these levels, and if we can consolidate and right away bounce back up, that is for me a very good sign of a strong environment. Then we have pullback in uptrend with the 90 MA on a heat map level. So let's make an example over here. So we're looking for, over here, we're going to put a level of breakout, right? So we're having a breakout, and then we're having pullbacks. So this is our trend, right? Let's say this is BTC USD. And over here, we're going to put, for example, this line, which is a 9 MA. Okay, over here we have a 9 MA. I'm going to put 9 MA. So I'm not looking, as I said before, to buy over here. All right. If I buy a breakout, generally it's just like for a scalp, because I see something on Bookmap that can tell me, all right, we can have like some follow through right away, immediately. But generally I will wait for the first dip, especially on the first pullback after the breakout. And this is a really good tool for me. I will look for the 90 MA, and I will look over here if I start seeing like some support or heat maps. I will start seeing over here buyers. I will start over here to see the speed of the tape. So how fast do we start like climbing this ladder? And then again, I will buy over here, or I will buy over here. So until I have this 90 MA, and this could be on the 1 minute chart or on the 5 minute chart. Now, supposedly, if you trade a Bitcoin, I prefer the 5 minute chart, having a little bit more like bigger moves, or the hourly chart. And I'm talking for intraday. So this is another of the strategy that I'm using. Short trap on fake breakdown of support plus bounce reclaim of previous liquidity level. So as we said before, if we have a level, all right, this is our support, and we're breaking our support, and then we reclaim right away over here. And maybe I see over here a heat map. We're gonna clear this out, and then we're gonna reclaim heat map over here. So demand is gonna come back again. Then I'm looking to buy over here. Why? Because this is basically a bear trap in this case, because we couldn't have a follow through over here and more unwind. But these sellers over here were exhausted, and they were over here, I would say, there was a shift over here in the momentum between supply, so sellers, into demand. The last one is unwinding plus exhaustion action in strong liquidity support area. So basically, it's almost what we said over here. So we have like an unwind, price is going to the support. Over here, we have some exhaustion, and then bounce back up. So I'm looking to buy on support. All right. This doesn't mean I'm looking to buy every single level that I will see heat map, but I will look, for example, with Bookmap. I will look at the daily chart, the hourly chart, the intraday time frame, to see if that support is a very important support, and then if over here we have the support that is holding together with the order flow. Next one is looking for the short entries.
Joseph, can you explain a bit more on the exhaustion one, on the long entry? What do you mean by exhaustion?
Let's see if we can look for some example over here. All right, so over here we have Binance Futures Traders. You can see over here, I have my add-ons over here. I use the liquidation, all right? And over here, I can put below the sliding. So we can put over here. Okay.
It's not really any good examples there, but anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is today price action. So let me see if I have saved over here.
I mean, I guess you can look at maybe somewhere where there's just less buying or selling in certain areas.
Exactly. So I would make this example because, for example, we have a main support at 29,800. And okay, so we can look, for example, let me zoom in. Okay, so this is what I mean by main support area and exhaustion over here, the move. So price is unwinding, and you can see traders that we have the majority of sellers. So these dots over here, right? These volume dots are called. This is all main sellers, sellers, sellers over here, sellers. And then to a certain point over here, we have really like this dip. And you can see that right away we start bouncing over here with blue dots. Over here we have like buyers. And where this happens, in a main liquidity area, 29 and 780, I believe. So we have a major bounce from this area. So I'm not really looking, for example, to buy over here, over here. You don't buy falling knives, okay? You have to look for when it starts like bouncing. So what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to apply my chart patterns. I'm going to apply my analysis on a daily chart, on a weekly chart. I'm going to put my trend lines. I'm going to start, for example, for this bounce. I'm going to look for a curl. As we said before, the main area. All right, I can start looking for a long over here to this area. And these are the levels where I want to long. I'm not definitely longing over here. Not definitely longing over here. You can see huge amount of sellers, right? All these magentas over here. Over here, I start seeing like some buyers finally. Why? Because they have a main support. So this, all this area over here is where I'm starting to long. So where I start building my position. And it's very important to understand this because this is the key to understand the order flow and how to use Bookmap to take longs or shorts or, buy or sell, all right, as you prefer. Now, let's look for another example.
Yeah, that was a really good one. I think right in line with your strategy that there was a lack of selling or very little selling at the bottom, and then it started to curl back up and you found your buyers.
Exactly, exactly. So I want to see really the shift over here, and this is why it's incredible. Also over here we see some exhaustion of the move traders. This is beautiful over here. Then over here we have some capitulation. You can see over here right away they are bouncing, so we don't have any more sellers, right? And then we retest this level just like a few minutes later over here, and then start bouncing back up again. You can see the entire amount of buyers. Let's see if we have an example maybe in the last hour. So I'm gonna see over here. No, in this case we have some over here liquidation, 2.7 Bitcoins into this 30,000 area. You can see over here we tested 30,000 area. Some absorption over here, and then started to bounce. All right, so we covered over here the long setups. Let's look at the short setups as well. So I'm gonna put this up again. Okay, what are the best short strategies? Remember, traders, you cannot short, for example, on the spot. So you need also a futures account, short entry. As we said, for the long, we're looking for momentum, right? So price is declining over here with increasing momentum. So you see the increase of selling pressure. And this is very important because a lot of traders think that if we are unwinding, it's good to short. No, you need the confirmation of the volume. You need the confirmation of the order flow. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter if we're like breaking down a support if we don't have that follow through. Pullback in downtrend at 90 MA on heat map level. So we're going to see some setups after about this. Pullback in downtrend. What does it mean? Like we said before, we have over here a coin that is unwinding. And this is our 90 MA. So I'm not looking to shorten the breakdown. Let me wait for the first pullback into the 90 MA. This is the area. And if over here I have a heat map, I'm then really looking to short it. Then we have bull trap. So as we saw before on the fake breakout, in that case, we are looking at weekly examples, but the same happens in intraday example. And I have a fake breakout of a resistance. Right away, it comes back below the resistance. Then I'm looking for a short. Extension, exhaustion into high liquidity area resistance, rejection. So it's basically the opposite of, for example, what we saw right now on the long side. Now let's look, traders, at examples of today. So this is
Joseph, a quick question on the 9 EMA.
Sure.
And what time frame?
Okay,
Madden is asking.
Okay, this is a good question. So let's look together over here. We're gonna put BTC USD. We can choose different brokers over here. Now I'll put just over here Bitfinex. And we're gonna put over here an IMA. So I'm gonna show you the different over here. We're gonna put, for example, exponential, moving average. We're gonna stay with the 9. We're gonna focus on this right now, okay? So we're gonna put yellow, and we're gonna take off everything else just to focus on this. So why the 90 MA is a great guide? Let's do like this. So on the left, we can see what Bitcoin is doing right now. Okay, so we found the top over here of 38, 30, and 850, which is this top over here. All right, this top over here, around 30, 850 over here. This push was not into a main, I would say, supply area, which for me, the supply area over here is this level over here. So let's put this area. This is the main supply area, and these are the peaks. Why this is the main supply area? Because, for example, over here we had the bounce. So this was a demand area. Over here we had rejection. Over here we had the rejection. So this area over here is a very important area. And then we have the next demand area down here, as I indicate, right? So I'm using that 90 MA on the 5 minutes for intraday and on the hourly mostly to see if the price is above or below. So if you see over here, guys, the price is simply above the 90 MA, right? So it's consolidating over here, and it's curling. This is a tremendous bullish pattern. Then once we break, for example, down here, you can see the price always remain below. So at this point, if I would have an intraday heat map, I can decide to day trade it. All right. So if we go back over here, and this, for example, was around the 7th. So now I don't have like enough data over here to go back to yesterday. You can have it trader just like I upload over here only the last 24 hours because this morning I had like 12 charts between futures, stocks, and crypto on my Bookmap. But again, this area over here, if you go back and if you have a Bookmap, you can see yesterday was a huge amount of demand, much more than the level that we see over here right now, this demand here. So passing to a 5-minute chart. And also over here, we can look at the time. So we can put even the 60 minutes over here. Okay, I want to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so this move is happening above this main support that we saw before. All right. So this over here is very early. We had that dip just below the 30,000. This dip over here, you can see also over here the huge amount of liquidation that we had around 0.45 Bitcoin is this main support down here. My 15 o'clock is 9 o'clock US time, remember. This peak over here is this peak over here, right? So that you understand. So the first thing that I do when I want to day trade is looking at the 5 minutes and the hourly. And then I'm looking for zooming out over here, Bookmap, because I need to see what are the main demand and supply here. For example, Bruce knows better than me that I cannot look in over here to short. All right, let's say I'm looking over here to short. I cannot short if I have that huge amount of demand area down here, this huge amount of buyers. I'm not looking to short into buyers. Ideally, I will be looking to join and grab some long. Okay, and the same thing up here. So we had even a good pattern over here for a long, and I really like this. So I'm going to show you what I mean. This is something that I use in my room to trade. So once we had this breakdown over here, this is probably sweep have worked massively over here. So this is 9 o'clock. Dip right away reclaims the 90 minute, right? And then you start seeing this cup pattern over here, right? So we're talking about this cup pattern over here, which is this over here. So that cup pattern just into the 90 MA, this is where I start looking for some long position. When I start to see like some buyers, and I'll put my stop just below. And you can see over here then the price action that is moving from that 30 and 100 over here to 30 and 800. And you can see massive buyers. Over here, what I'm looking at how these bar form, and you can see each bar is making a higher low. And this is the first bar over here where we have the price action stalling, and then right away we start having the breakdown. So this breakdown over here comes at 10 o'clock. So over here. So you can see that we have a first shift. We go over here, we have exhaustion of the move. Over here, we have no more buyers. You see over here, no more buyers, which is this bar over here. No more buyers over here. They're going to retest this high. And this time you can see that we pass from being all with blue volume dots, right, to all magenta over here. So now sellers are in control. And this is an intraday move. Intraday move that we started with a fake breakdown. So in this case, we had the bear trap, right? So they push all the traders over here to get out long on a stop loss because they're like saying, okay, we're going to break down over here the 3100. We're going to fail over here. Also, short sellers jumping in. Instead, what they do? They reclaim it. And this happens also often on big cap land. This happens often on futures as well, on ES. So often I see morning fake breakdown, right away reversal. And then you start seeing over here this small accumulation. And then you start seeing over here the breakout. And then you can start seeing over here a huge amount of demand. And until you see this buying pressure over here, you stay in, you ride this. Then you start seeing over here small distribution pattern. So you have to know your pattern together with Bookmap, and then you start to see down going.
There's your exhaustion there too. Really nice one.
Exactly. This is beautiful over here. This is a beautiful example to spot this. Let's look over here. So let's zoom out a little bit. I want to see the last part of the move. We're going to see if we have some setups forming. So I'm going to zoom out again, trader, to see where are the main levels, right, of resistance and support. So I'm going to trace my lines over here. So I'm looking at a bigger time frame to take my lines. So let's put, for example, first of all, an hourly. All right, so over here we have already some lines. We're going to zoom in over here. And I'm looking to we have two main lines over here. Don't really like this a lot. Okay, so this is our line. And this is our line. So we have like, let's say a morning wedge over here. Seems like a morning wedge. So we have our lows, lower highs. Zoom out only to see the main demand and supply areas. So the sell-off on the 6th over here, that was a brutal sell-off. And remember that right now, Bitcoin in the last 3 weeks is basically lateral. So we're waiting for a direction. The same thing is doing the market. So we are in a mid-range. This means that I'm not looking to take any kind of main positions right now. I'm only looking for what, trader? I'm only looking, for example, scalping or for a small day trade like I did over here. In order for me to have like a big, I would say, setup, I need to see some kind of breakout over here. Remember what I said before. And I believe we can go and check this together. And then I'm buying these pullbacks, right? So over here, we're talking about the 7th at 6 hours. So this is 16, so 4 p.m. Let's look at the 7th at 4 p.m. This is beautiful because I can go and check what happened. All right, so this is our move, right, to the upside. So when we said before, and we were over here explaining traders this, I'm gonna put that okay, this, remember when we said pullback in uptrend at 90 MA on a heat map level. Okay, remember about this. This is one of the setup that we can look at right now. So this is the day that we have a breakout over here. So the first thing, I will put my level over here. So breakout, and I'm not buying this breakout over here unless, let's say, I'm scalping. Maybe they're like looking for really a momentum trade. But I start looking at this breakout, and we are over here around 30,000, a very key important area. So let's put the moment of the breakout. This happens over here at okay, we're at 30,000. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, so we're breaking exactly over here. This is the moment of the breakout, right? So what do you see over there? We can put our rectangle. Okay, is this level over here. Break of 30,000, break of 30,000. Very important area over here. We start like pushing. And as I said, I'm not really buying over here because often you can have like a breakout and then right away it goes back. So what I'm looking for a first pullback over here into this area. So where you see over here, the price, there we are. We see over here, the price is falling, right? So everybody's thinking over here, okay, we're gonna probably go down now. I see sellers. No, this is a small accumulation. So first you have the breakout, which is at this level over here. And then you have this small pullback. So that is where I'm looking to long, right? So that point is where I will start looking. And that point is exactly this here over here. So this curl is exactly where I want to long. Okay, so that's the importance of not looking for me to buy the breakout, but looking for the main pullback. And if you have this area, then you have also a low risk area, which is this. I will just risk this area over here. And then how can I trail this? So I know that at this point, we're talking about 1R. This is my 1R. So this would be like 150 bucks. All right, of stop. And what I'm looking for, I'm looking to ride a trend until the trend is holding this 90 MA. And this is a perfect long over here. This goes up 400 points, 400 bucks over here. And you can see that the momentum that we have, we break a heat map, big buyers over here, some sellers, I believe, profit takers. We remove another heat map. So again, don't short only because you see over here a main level of supply, okay? But instead, ride this trend, and over here we reach the peak where you can see a main supply area at 31,500. And then we start like unwinding. And where this happens, just into this level over here, you can see that we start going below the 90 MA, some laterality, okay? So we start forming over here a main support. We have the first break in the support. We have this distribution pattern, and then boom, we start going back to the 30,000. And you can see over here, and I will zoom out a little bit. Again, you see the shift, right? From all these buyers over here, and then back to these sellers. So I simply love to see this. And this is really my confirmation if I'm looking to hold trade. And then over here again, this. At these levels over here, I want to see an important day level resistance. Over here, you can see one-time resistance, one-time resistance, one-time. So we have like a microstructure, all right, of pops into the 31,500 and then right away rejections. Now, sometimes you'll see the price a little bit different. Remember, this is Binance and this is Bitfinex, all right? So you will need to put the same one to have the same exact price, okay? And then even from broker to broker, you will have like different type of, I would say, liquidity. For example, this is if you trade the spot, right? Over here, Bruce can tell you better. These are five brokers altogether. One of these is Kraken. So You can have also this BTC USD, and generally I use this to see, I would say, the overall trend, and then I see over here if I want to trade futures. All right, this is a terrific indicator.
Yeah, that
What we
if I can just jump in for a moment, that's really really smart, Joseph. I don't know why you're having such delays in here on your Bookmap or on your in general on your machine, but uh, uh, anyway, that's really smart. I mean, you can see in the upper left hand corner when you go over the multi-book product, it tells you what exchanges you are connected to there. 5 different exchanges, and see in the upper left there, you can point to it. It says Bitstamp, Bitfinex, Coinbase Pro, FTX, and Kraken.
Mhm.
No, just a little further up on the white bar. Yeah,
Okay, over
yeah,
here,
right
sorry.
there. And it's a synthetic instrument. We've had this for a while now called multi-book, because there's all different exchanges have different amounts of liquidity and data in there, and transactions. So this is a much more objective view to be able to put together all 5 or at least 5 different exchanges, so that you can have a better picture of really what's going on. Soon we will have the liquidation indicator working on this as well.
Perfect. All right. So, do we have any questions, Bruce, on today's
Yes.
lesson?
Yes, a few questions here in YouTube. So hold on a minute. Well, first off, Crypto Man was asking about the free version. Yes, it already exists. Just go to our website, bookmap.com, and then just sign up for the free version. And simple as that. There's also web.bookmap.com, and then let's get to a couple questions here. Madden is asking, what type of tapes do you use? Could you briefly explain how this is the setting, or what are the settings, I guess?
Settings of
I'm
my
not really
audio
sure.
flow?
Yeah, of the tape. I'm not really sure what I guess maybe the volume dots.
Okay, probably. So it really depends in this case what you want to see. I use for crypto over here. Okay, let's do like this. I can show you over here my status configuration. These are the volume dots. So I generally put this smart, but you can also filter by volume. All right. I use 3D bubbles and volume delta. I have the cumulative volume delta. I have over here the VWAP. From time to time, I will put candlesticks. So let's say I don't want to look at my chart. I will look at candlesticks over here. But I want to make it very simple, traders. What I'm looking personally as a trader is many years I'm using Bookmap. I'm looking at 2 main things. I'm looking at volume dots, and I believe I can read pretty good to see if we have exhaustion, absorption, reversals, and together 2 heat maps. Those are the 2 main indicators. Then, of course, everything that can help us make us the life easier, like the sweep indicator, the liquidation, like the absorption indicator. So many of these, everything it is going to be useful. All right, especially I would say for beginner traders, but try to focus really on the levels of heat map and the flow, because this is really everything. Like over here, right now we have our price. This is the demand. This is the supply over here. So this and this. So the price is getting always, I would say, tighter, and then it will eventually look for a direction. All right. And over here, I'm not really going to short anything. Why? Because the first main supply is at this almost 31,000. So up here. And the first main support is at 30,000, as we would expect, or this 29,900, which is over here and over here. So for me, this is a no trade zone. Okay, I'm not really going to trade over here for micro, scalps. I'm gonna wait for some bigger direction, and I'm gonna wait for some A plus setups. This is very important. So one of the one of the things we always say the traders need, it's basically a skill, is to have patience. Patience sometimes to be over here for hours, to wait for a pattern. Maybe sometimes the day you won't even have a setup, but eventually when you will have it, and you will have like a day like we saw before over here on the 7th, then that will be really your paycheck. I mean, one setup like this, you see this accumulation over here, and then you start buying these dips, that's perfect. You need really one trade like that. Okay, so this is very, very important for me. And I believe patience is one of the skills. It's also an edge that all traders should have and should learn. Okay, should learn, because not everybody is patient.
Yeah, Joseph, not only the patience and the skills you have that you've developed over the years with your trade management, and staying with your strategies and knowing precisely the numbers behind your strategies makes all the difference in the world. I've mentioned that many times over. But that's it. I mean, that's you have confidence when you take the trade, and then you give it patience.
Exactly. So I still make average traders every single day, but the difference between, I would say, a newbie or an experienced trader is the way you react after having made an error and the amount of errors that you make. That is the real difference. So I try as a trader to, I would say, make my strategy the more systematic as possible. Like the more automated possible my strategy is, the less involvement of emotions and therefore errors I will have. And this is a really important factor. So if you try, as I said before, to think that trading is like a puzzle, putting the pieces together. So not only looking at the chart over here, because for me, really resistance and demand and support over here doesn't mean nothing, but I need to have more things together. So we'll put, for example, the chart patterns or the flow, and then of course supply and demand, all things together, then will like create an image for my puzzle, and I can understand how to trade it. Otherwise, if I don't have all these three, I would say hints, I really have no clue how I'm gonna trade it.
Yeah, and another thing for everybody attending here, Joseph put a really nice presentation together and gave a lot here. Those are some really nice strategies for longs and for shorts that he went through and detailed for you. Um, those are worth millions, So it's all there. So very generous. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you very much as well. Thank you very much, Bruce. And it's a pleasure over here for being over here with you traders today. Let's cover some few more features of Bookmap together, Bruce. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. There was another question in here I'm searching for as well. Let's see. It was. Yeah, I mean, Carl brings up an interesting question, and I wanted to elaborate on it, like with a part two. How long do you guys usually stare at the screens?
Hmm.
Do your setup alerts? Do you use setup alerts to stay away from the screens?
This is a very good question. Bruce, personally, how many hours do you stay at the computer, or at least staring at charts?
I'm embarrassed. I don't even want to talk about it.
I believe that, well, I have to be honest, I stay 12 hours a day because I give myself a limit. But if I have to tell you how many hours it takes me to make money during the day, I would say 1 hour. When I trade, for example, myself, the majority of the money I make in the first hour. So when US opens till 10:30, and I have the privilege over here that I work in Europe. So 9:30 New York time is my 3:30 p.m. Sometimes I will do also morning session because European session is also, I would say, pretty volatile sometimes. and I can see some very good movements. But 1 hour a day is more than enough. Of course, this is if you day trade. Other times, I want to add anything for that 1 hour that I'm waiting. So maybe I'm waiting like, 10, 11, 12, 13, 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., even more to have a setup. If I get to my 10 o'clock p.m., which is 4 p.m. East New York time, I'm done. I mean, I need to go also relax a little bit. And then I'm up very early and checking again the markets. I know it's like, tough. I know that some people may have like, a job, so they're doing this part time. But if eventually your life is about trading, like mine is, this becomes not really a job, it becomes like more a necessity. So you're gonna trade because you love it, and because then you see that you can do it very good, you can make money from it, and then more. I mean, enough is never enough, right? But being wise, and now here being also mentor, I would say that 1 2 hours a day, and then go do something else. If you instead want to be like a professional trader, work like me full day, then you're welcome.
And then the follow-up question I had on that, Joseph, is some of the, I'm just really curious, some of the big differences, you mentioned a few, that you have noticed between stocks and crypto in general, the way that they trade.
Okay, so different type of manipulation. The first thing that I will tell you, Bruce, we have, for example, on stocks, um, to I would say to differentiate between small caps and big caps. Small caps, they are, I would say, terrific in the sense that if you learn that manipulation, you know how to trade very good. Big caps, though, they are very similar in cryptocurrencies. Uh, what I like is to trade Bitcoin. I mean, if I have to day trade, I'm going to stay on Bitcoin only. If I have to maybe swing or buy as an investment, I can trade also other altcoins, like Cardano, Chainlink, and others. Liquidity is not an issue with Bitcoin. Um, Liquidity is not also an issue on stocks, so we have very similar. Right now, I have to be honest, they both follow ES very good. So I'm using ES every single morning. This is a trading tip that I give you to trade also Bitcoin. Of course, then you can have like relative strength because maybe Bitcoin came out that day. There are some news, some new brokers, some legislation, something like that coming out. So it will have maybe a different, I would say, outcome for the day. But otherwise, that's very similar. Uh, I see, the same thing, margin. So small accounts both work on a margin. I see right now that you can short and long on both, small caps, big caps, and also over here, Bitcoin cryptocurrencies. I would say that in a sense, Bitcoin is better because they give you the possibility to work 24 hours for all week, even more than futures. So, for example, who can work only, let's say, who works and can only look at this during the weekend, you can do it that Saturday and Sunday, and it's a pretty good tool. Like instead of watching your Formula One or television, you can look at Bitcoin and see to make some money. But for the rest, I don't see that main use difference. I see the same spoofing. I see, okay, some different type of manipulation, that yes, but same washout, same stuffs. Uh, for me, they're very, very similar right now, how they're moving. I really can see many times Tesla moving as Bitcoin and vice versa. So if you put a chart together sometimes, they're just like the photocopy at different prices.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Was
Let's
there,
look over here.
yeah,
Tell me,
something
Bruce.
else you wanted to go over, Joseph, on the book map chart there?
Yes. So about the risk, because we always talk about entries, and this I would believe is the last thing I'm going to cover today. We always talk about entries. How important is having an entry? But a lot of traders enter and they don't know what they're going to risk, what is going to be their stop. So if I'm looking, let's say right now to buy into this demand area. Okay, so we're buying into this support. We said before we had over here some sweeps. You can see over here a massive sell-off. Over here, all right, over here, main support, then I'm looking ideally for a long. Let's say I take a long over here, 30,000. Now I enter, and two things I have to think about. So I will ask myself two things. Where's my stop? And where is my take profit? Otherwise, if I don't have those clear in my mind before I take the trade and when I take the trade, I'm not taking the trade. So I am very careful to put my stop below the support because the majority of the big hands or who manipulates the market is going to use, maybe sometimes through algo, or is going to simply look where traders have their stops. And they're going to hunt you. Maybe they will like go hunt your stop, boom, reclaim. And that's, the famous bear trap we said before. So be very careful to put the stop over here just at a support or below the support. Sometimes I give it or a little bit of wiggle room. So maybe I will put like, a few hundred below the main support. All right. Or if I see over here that this is really like setting off so strong and it's so heavy, I will like downsize my position. And then I will simply like re-add the position if it's going towards my direction. So be careful to use just like a heat map over here as a level to put the stop. The second thing I have to measure is I have to measure my risk reward ratio or my profit factor, as you want to call it. So if I'm, for example, risking this level, and let's say over here I'm risking $400, I know ideally that this is for my personal stats. I want to see 3R. All right. So I'm going to look 3 times this. All right. So I'm risking, let's say $400. I want to make 1.2. Right. So I'm going to put like 1,200 over here, 1,200, something like this. That ideally has to be my take profit. All right. So always measure. Of course, inside a trade, you'll need sometimes to change this. Let's say we have a fast reversal. You're going to maybe take out for 1 hour profit or break even. So different type then of strategies to trail and risk management, but have always set your risk reward and I would say your stop loss and your take profit before you take the trade. When you're in a trade, then you still have to monitor this. So you're going to put other questions. You're going to ask yourself where you have to trail. If things go bad, there's reversing when you're getting out. Do we have the same pattern working? Is still the same setup valid or market changed? Always have everything under control. That's the reason why beginners should start with one position at a time. When they close that position, they can look for a second position. Not like trading 2 coins, 4 stocks, 2 futures at the same time, and then going, I would say, wrong on every of them. Start with one. At the second one, we're more experienced. At the third one, we're more experienced, and so on. That's my suggestion of the day.
Excellent. Fantastic, Joseph. I mean, great trade management, and again, it's very, very generous of you to go through.
Thank you very much, Bruce. As I said, it's a pleasure to be over here with you traders today. Thanks for Bookmap. Thanks to Bookmap and Bruce for doing this. I think we covered the majority of the things together, traders. You can put some comments over here below. Help us support the channel. Bruce is making an incredible job. I mean, I don't know when this guy sleeps because he's over here giving like free knowledge to everybody. I believe that this is really like he's trying like to train traders to become successful. So his work is genuine and pure. So give him like a like. And again, Bruce, you want to add something else?
Wow, thank you, Joseph. I mean, yeah, I mean, we just really believe in what we're doing and our product. I mean, I certainly believe in it. I think, and especially with these new indicators like this liquidation indicator, I mean, it just shows you how the market works. I mean, it's just incredible, the transparency that it's an exciting time, I think, that data visualization of new elements in the financial markets is this is a growth period, and we're capturing it, and it's a lot of fun and very exciting. Yeah, it's been also sleep depriving as well. But
Yeah, I know what you mean.
oh, I know. You work extremely hard. I know. I see you. But excellent presentation, Joseph. I really appreciate you putting together such a nice presentation, and covering the crypto markets like this.
Thank you very much, Bruce.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other questions at the moment here. But if you guys want to reach out to Joseph, I've put it into the chat several times already. Let me do it one more time here in YouTube. And note, he also comes here every day for the, or I'm sorry, every Wednesday
Very much, yeah.
for the stocks webinar here at Bookmap. Okay, it's free, it's open to all, so you can also go over that with Joseph. No, I think that covers everything, Joseph.
Perfect. So again, traders, thank for being over here with us today. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Bookmap. And see you again next week, and also for the crypto series, see you again tomorrow with another trader. Thank you, guys, and have a good day.
Thank you, Joseph.